Since all it does is snow here, I decided to ask Twitter a question. The answer is exactly what you'd expect.
I'm not really frightened, I'm just naturally nervous.
What's up, guys? Back here for another episode, and today I want to talk about something that I personally have spent a lot of time thinking about, mostly from a utilization standpoint. How do I utilize my time best to deliver the most value to the business, to my employees, to my staff, to my people, and to the customers that we actually serve? It's so easy to get caught up in the everyday hectic nature of all our jobs, no matter what position you hold in your company. And I don't like that. I don't like feeling like I'm letting value leak through the funnel of activity that I do on a day-to-day basis. So I asked Twitter a very specific question. If you could pick just 3 activities or tasks that add the most value to your business and have someone else do everything else, what would those 3 things be? Now, here's the really cool part. I got a ton of responses directly on Twitter. I got about 15, 16 responses, and then private message and stuff, I got a few more. And what I did was just the first like 20 or so, I just captured those responses and I put them in my little notebook right here. You can see I have them all tallied up. Just for demographics purposes, the respondents were mostly producers, mostly leadership in those organizations, so either soon-to-be agency owners in a legacy agency or actual agency owners. It was predominantly production-focused people.
You seem like the jolly type, Claire. You like jokes?
Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way. 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 Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way.
The 3 responses that I got the most were sales, networking, and then there was a tie for marketing and branding, which I thought was just an interesting side note. Everyone who mentioned marketing put a / branding, which I thought was interesting that we consider those 2 things the same, and prospecting. And then very close behind was storytelling, strategy, and culture. So I think you could probably take prospecting and networking and put those together. Then you could take marketing and branding, put those together, and sales would be its own. So if you were to do that, you'd have sales number 1, you'd have prospecting / networking number 2, and marketing and branding number 3. I don't think that should be surprising to anyone. But here's my question. Why then do we still stamp TPS reports? Why then do leadership and producers still have to do car changes and take customer service calls? Why then are producers doing inane filling out of policy form documents and spending half their day inside of agency management systems? And the answer is because that makes us feel busy. This stuff is hard. It's hard to stay busy selling, prospecting, networking, and doing marketing and branding because that's hard creative work. That's work that takes brain power and thought, it takes energy, it takes focus. And the minute that you don't feel like you're doing enough in any of those areas, you can immediately feel like you're losing, like you're not being productive, like you're failing, right? If your pipeline isn't full, you feel like you're failing, you feel that nervous energy. It's super easy then to turn to a car change or a service request or spend some time in your agency management system and essentially waste opportunities, waste time. It's busy work.
But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Guys, I want to give a big shout out to Westfield Insurance. Westfield is one of our most valued partners and one of the most valued partners for independent agents around the country. Westfield was our very first sponsor of Elevate 2018, and they came in big with a platinum sponsorship. And I've said this, I said this from the stage last year, I've said this every time I talk about Elevate. It's the attendees, it's you guys who show up at the event that make it special, but it's sponsors like Westfield that make it possible. We go all out. We don't make a dollar. We don't make a dollar on Elevate. We put every dollar that we make from ticket sales and from sponsorships back into making the conference as big and bad and bold as it can possibly be, right? We're building the industry we want to work in, not the industry we work in today, and that all would not be possible if it wasn't for companies like Westfield Insurance. Guys, support Westfield, write Westfield, get to know them. They have tons of great programs. I go in and speak to developing agents and agency owners and producers as often as I possibly can at Westfield because they're doing the right thing. I think Westfield is one of the carriers that is a shining example of what it means to be a true partner to independent agents, and I hope that you'll support them if you work with them. And if you don't, reach out. Wonderful, wonderful company. You can ping me or just reach out to Westfield directly, but I am so incredibly proud, so incredibly thankful to have Westfield as our very first sponsor all the way back in August of 2017. They became a sponsor of this event and came in big at a platinum sponsorship, so just big shout out to Westfield. Oh, and if you don't have your ticket to Elevate yet, go in the description of this video or elevateconference.com and get your ticket today. Guys, you do not want to miss this event. You do not want to miss this event.
You don't mind if I ramble on, do you?
Optimizing where I spend my time is something I have put a lot of thought into lately. Specifically with Elevate bearing down on us, the workload becomes almost overwhelming with meetings and strategy and building culture and hiring and working through HR issues and then actually creating and speaking and all the other stuff that goes into this job. I have to think about where I spend my time. What are the 3 things that when I do those things, when I focus on them and put maybe 80% of my time into these 3 activities, where am I getting the most value? Where am I delivering the most value to this company? Now, one of the things I did to answer this question was I did not think about this in a vacuum. I spent a lot of time actually talking to my staff because I wanted to make sure that I may think I'm delivering value, but is it actually valuable to my team? Does my team view these activities as value to our company? And what I ultimately came out with was strategy and culture, which I think are the same thing. You may have heard the phrase culture eats strategy for breakfast. I firmly believe that. And I think culture and strategy are so intertwined that ultimately they're one thing. Then selling, I do as much selling as I've ever done in my entire career in my current position, and then creating content, distributing the message, doing what I love to do. Much like last week's video where I did a deep dive for almost a week into Lemonade and its impact on our industry, and then broke it down in this video right here, why independent agents should write Lemonade Insurance. That video took me a week's worth of work. And then it was 26 minutes long, and that was 2 days of editing. And the impact has been incredible. Just in the first week, more than 2,000 views, the amount of feedback I've gotten and inquiries and connections. And I've gotten 2 speaking inquiries out of it into places where I think can help expand the Agency Nation brand and TrustedChoice.com and independent agents, where we start to have a voice in the InsurTech place. That's important work. And those opportunities aren't created if I'm not creating content. But I don't do that most of the time. Most of my time is spent on meetings and follow-up and emails and all this other stuff that has a purpose. It's work that needs to get done, but is it the best use of my time? And that was the question I had to answer. My 3 things were strategy and culture, selling, and creating content. How do I make those 3 activities, those 3 tasks, 80% of what I do on a day-to-day basis? You're never gonna be able to cut out all the administrative stuff that needs to go on, but that should be 20% of my day so that I'm optimizing the amount of value I can deliver to you guys and the amount of value I can deliver back to my people, the people that I'm responsible for, my team, my company. The answer is you have to be comfortable delegating. And thankfully, I am not a control freak in any way, so it's very easy for me to delegate. The hard part is knowing which pieces to delegate. And I don't know that I have a great answer for this. I think that it's gonna be a lot of trial and error for me. Flat structure is awesome, except it's incredibly difficult to get stuff done. Here's my one caveat to this, and again, I want you guys to realize I'm thinking through a lot of this. I've only been the chief marketing officer of this company for I guess 7 months now, so I'm learning, right? I'm still learning. But this is what I think about every day. In putting together these type of systems and processes and structure, there is a great responsibility on those at the top to make sure that people are not building fiefdoms, that decisions aren't made so that they can stay in those positions. So it always has to come back to performance-based culture. What I believe in is a distributed, decentralized leadership structure based on performance, meaning you give power to pods of people in order to perform tasks and get things done. Ultimately, you always judge them on their performance, not how long their butt was in a seat. In judging them based on their performance, it allows you to relinquish the day-to-day nonsense that comes with being too controlling and too micromanaging, and lets you, in whatever role you hold in a company, get back to doing the 80% work, the work that drives the results, those 3 things that allow you to provide the most value back to your company and back to the clients and customers that you serve. It's what have you done, not when did you work. That's what I believe in, at least, and it's what's worked so far in Agency Nation. Here's the deal, guys. Leave your 3 activities below. I want to know what they are. Tell me why those activities are important and how you make time in your day to prioritize those 3 activities. Then I want you to subscribe to this channel if you're not. Smash that like button. Tell your friends. Leave me feedback. I love you guys. I'm gonna get out of here.
You don't mind if I ramble on, do you? You don't mind if I ramble on, do you? It kind of keeps my mind off the malaria germs.